Buying at foreclosure auctions, I'm going to show you how to prepare the right way the first time, so when you get there, you know what to expect and you get your numbers correct the first time. Let's dive into it.
Welcome to the Smack Fest, the beat down. The SWAT team is here on another beautiful day of shutting the week down.
And if we're meeting for the very first time, welcome to the channel. My name is Dauria. I am a full-time real estate investor. I became financially free by buying rental properties and living off the income and snowballing that to buy more rental properties, which allows me to buy more rental properties, and you get the idea. I'm going to show you how to do that and how to get the process right. And we're going to start today by talking about foreclosure auctions, how I just went to auction myself, how I prepared. Let's go. All right, guys, so when preparing for foreclosure auction, one of the very first things you need to do is you need a foreclosure list. Now, you can get this free through the county, or you can go onto a site such as foreclosure.info, just like this. It's I'll send the link down in the description below. Now, I believe this is only for Texas, so if you're a Texas resident, awesome, check out the link. Now, the most important thing to understand about buying at foreclosure auctions is you must, and I repeat, must do title searches, guys. This is where majority of newbie investors get tripped up. It costs money to do title searches. You can get it done as sometimes as little as $50 a list, but when there's $50 a property, but when there's 135 properties times 50, if you're bidding on all of them, that gets incredibly expensive. So you start with, like, for instance, Dallas County this month had 135 auctions. You're going to start with something like this, and you're going to get a bunch of these. Okay, guys, you're going to get 135 of them. You're going to look them all over, and you're going to narrow it down to your criteria. In my case, it got it down to about 42. Now, we did drive the properties first, and that's how we got the list down to 42. So I want to show you how I do my list, so it may help you with getting your list and your numbers correct so you don't miss anything, okay? I only bid on stuff because I did, after I got down to 42, I got title searches done for every one of those. I only bid on stuff that's cleared for me to buy without any significant liens. You know, if it's like $1,000 lien, that's fine, but I don't want to get involved with something that is like a second lien position. You never want to buy property, or at least I never want to buy property with a second lien position. You only want a first lien position. That means you will own that house and you can do whatever you want with it. If you buy a second lien, you don't own that house and you just maybe gave away your money. Okay, so all right, so you're going to start with the address right here. Very important that you understand this, guys. This is also super important. You see where it says legal description right here? It said Bradford Park at High Point, Phase 2, block, blah, blah, blah. Okay, they will not, about 50% of the auctioneers will not give you the address. They will say next up is, and they will give you the legal description of the property, okay? So when you're there and the auctioneer walks up and everybody crowds around him, one, these auctioneers are not very loud. You need to be there immediately. Like literally run, guys, so you can get to him and you can hear him or her, because they do not speak loud. They do not speak like me, okay? They speak very subtle, and if you're in row number 3 or 4 in the back, you're not gonna hear anything. And when you're listening for this entire legal description so you can look at all 30 of your properties and find it really quick before the auction starts, good luck, because it's probably not going to happen. Okay, so moving on. They tell you the legal description, huge thing. So you're also going to have market value. Do not go off this, guys. Use your own analysis. Market value, I got these numbers from my head because I just made this up before this video, but this is an actual representation of what I just did. Okay, so picks. What you're going to do is you're going to either take mental pictures, or you're going to have somebody else go out and take pictures for you. Either way, you need to drive the properties in person, because you need to determine a couple very smart key factors, okay? Some, such as, is the property literally still there? I'm not joking. You can buy a property at auction, go there, and it has been knocked to the ground, burned to the ground, something. It is still yours regardless. So if that property is not even there like it's supposed to be, that's a miserable waste of money that you just paid for something that you thought was a structure on property. So picks, get them like the weekend before auction is what I recommend. Hood, neighborhood. It's just a short. I just write what kind of hood is it. Is it an A neighborhood, a B neighborhood, a C, or a D? An A is a gorgeous neighborhood, 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom houses. Everybody has, nice cars. You see people jogging around. This is a really nice, clean neighborhood. Very expensive homes, not the everyday home, the nicer home. That's an A neighborhood. A B neighborhood is probably the most common for me to buy in. It's a super clean workers neighborhood, basically, okay? Think brick home, 3-bed, 2-bath, 4-bed, 2-bath. The streets aren't not too busy. Everybody in the neighborhood works, they all leave for the day. That's kind of a B-class neighborhood. It's very clean. People aren't parking on the grass. They don't have giant rims on their cars, for the most part. The neighborhoods, they're clean, and they don't have, the streets aren't super, tiny like a 1950s, neighborhood would be. A C-class is getting a little bit rough. The neighborhood some people may have some junk on their front lawn. Some people park on their front lawn. I don't know why that is. I hate to see it, but when I see people starting to park on the grass in their front lawn, it is not a B neighborhood anymore. It is a C neighborhood. Easy. If they have big dubs, the rapper wheels, I listen to rap. So listen, I'm not dogging it, okay? But it's something to look out for if you are going to be investing into that neighborhood, okay? That's my point. You want your property values to go up. You don't want gunshots, okay? So if they're parking on the grass, if there's lots of junk sitting around the house, if there's cars with giant wheels, it's not a good sign. A D-class neighborhood is all of this and more. A D-class neighborhood is a neighborhood where you see all of this plus more, plus you have lots of people always out front in the front yard, hanging out on the porches, randomly walking the streets, probably doing some illicit deals. You would not want to physically on foot walk through that neighborhood. It is a neighborhood that does not appear safe. People are staring at you when you're driving slow. It is a very obvious neighborhood that you want to get out very quickly. That is a D. I do not invest in D neighborhoods, but doesn't mean that you shouldn't, because there is a market for D neighborhoods, because typically the cash on cash return is much better, but the appreciation is not. Okay, that's typically how a D class neighborhood works. You maybe get 2% a month instead of a 1% a month property, but you also don't get appreciation, at least to the scale of like an A neighborhood, especially, or a B neighborhood. But you get different clientele for every neighborhood, so you need to understand the neighborhood classification that you're buying and what that means for the clientele. An A-class person is not going to live in a D-class neighborhood. A D-class person is not going to live in an A-class neighborhood. There's a reason, and they're different tenants drastically. Even the difference between a B and a D is a drastically different tenant. Okay, so moving on. I really wanted to get on that, because that's very, very important that you understand the classifications. A pool, guys, I don't buy houses with pools, because I, as a landlord, have to keep up with them. I'm replacing pumps, I'm replacing leaks, it just destroys cash flow. Okay, I don't buy with a pool. If it has a pool, unfortunately, I cross it off. That's just me. Roof condition, it's not a deal killer. You just need to know it doesn't need let's just call it a $6,000 roof, for instance. Basically, are the shingles curled up? Do they look like garbage, or does it look like a new roof? Now, I'm going to warn you. You cannot, especially here in Texas, you cannot, for the most part, see hail damage from the ground, okay? We have a terrible issue with hail down here, like ridiculous. I'm in North Texas. We literally had hail a handful of years ago, the size of a football. It literally came through our house, like through it like a missile. And every house in Wiley, Texas was, at least from the roof down, was like obliterated. Check it out. Type in Wiley hailstorm, W-Y-L-I-E, will blow your mind. So you need to know, does the roof at least appear in good conditions? Because you need that for the rehab budget. So items needed. You're going to look at stuff like junk removal. You're going to have to pay for that. You're going to have to pay to drop it off somewhere. It's going to cost you money. And the outside is typically a reflection of the inside. When I was talking about those C and D neighborhoods, if it looks like that on the outside, the inside is probably a true reflection. The paint probably needs it all throughout the house. The carpet's probably stained. It's just a good indication. Another thing that is a really good indication, my realtor told me, I guess this was about 10 years ago, and it's true. I never would have guessed it, never even thought of it. Look at the front door. The front door of the property will tell you generally, the condition of the front door will tell you generally the condition of the inside of the property. If the front door is freshly painted, it's very clean, it looks warm and inviting, the inside's probably gonna be nice. If it looks, well, terrible, utterly dreadful, the inside is, well, you may have guessed, correct. So, and then I put junk removal in backyard, needs new fence. Okay, so we know, because you're not allowed inside on these foreclosure properties, we know at least this is the kind of stuff from the outside, what we can see, what's going on with this place, okay? And it gives you a good indication of what the inside could potentially be occupied. More than 90%, I want to say like 95% of these properties are occupied at foreclosure auctions. Whether they're there when you drive by or not, bet on these properties being occupied. The way to tell if they are unoccupied from the street is, at least here in Texas, is they put if it's been vacant for a while at least, they'll put a white notice, it's a white piece of paper on the front door. So if you get out to a property and you're like, is this vacant, is it not? Look at the front door. Does it have a white piece of paper on the front door? It's basically, I don't know if it's the post office or whoever, but they're showing, this house is, claimed to be vacant or whatever. That means it's vacant. And then if you can, without breaking the law, maybe peer inside. Does it look, destroyed? Does it look like it's move-in ready? Does it even have a kitchen left? Because I've seen houses with gutted kitchens that don't look like it from the outside. Very expensive as an investor, because now you have to put in a kitchen from scratch. So you can, under legalities, as long as it's legal, peek in and see what you're about to get yourself into, because that can be a huge game changer. If you're bidding against somebody that has no idea what the inside looks like, at least you kind of know your rehab budget. If the carpet looks really clean downstairs, it's probably really clean upstairs. But carpet's carpet. It's easy to replace. But nevertheless, you just want to know the general condition. Whatever the downstairs looks like, the upstairs is probably going to be very close. Okay, so that's going to get our rehab budget. In this case, I was just assuming $20 a square foot. So $10 a square foot is a very light rehab. Paint, carpet, you definitely have some miscellaneous, some flooring and stuff like that, but that's going to be like a light rehab. Medium rehab is going to be what I generally put most of my properties at, and that's $20 a square foot. Heavy rehab is, this place is absolutely trashed, there's holes in the wall, the kitchen is complete gut job. That's $30 a square foot. Okay, so I put this one in at $20 a square foot. It's a big house. It's almost 3,000 square foot. It's $2,851. You see that right here. It's a 4-bed, 2.5 bath, $2,851. So $20 a square foot times $2,851. That would, not all the time, but that's most likely going to cover my worst case scenario rehabs. Like I said, you can definitely get in there and see worse, but probably not going to be this high, to be honest. That's a pretty hefty rehab number, but I just put $60,000 in a house with 3,200 square foot. So this can be, and it wasn't in decent shape when I got it. So this can be reasonably accurate. You'd be surprised. Market rents, and I put them here at $2,400. Section 8 rent, if you are a Section 8 landlord, I looked them up by zip code, the zip code right here, and you look at the bedroom count, and they'll give you Section 8 rents. In this case, $2,800. ARV, after repair value. This is once you fix it up 100%. What would full market retail value be? My calculations in this fictional case here is $325,000. And you want to know, how do you come up with a buy and a purchase price on this? So I take the full ARV. That's what this property could sell for. If you're a flipper or you're a buy and hold guy like myself and you like to do refis, you need to know what that number is. 325,000 times 0.75. Okay, so I knock off 25%. That's my equity in the property. That's my paycheck basically for taking on this risk. So you times by 0.75, and then minus the rehab cost of $57,000 gives you a buy price of $186,750. Now, you are not going to be able to buy a property for $186,750 at auction. They're probably going to hit the guy next to you at $185, and then they're going to look at you at $190. Well, I just go ahead and bid at $190, okay? These aren't like sure-fed numbers. These are numbers that get you pretty close. You don't want to lose a property for a couple $1,000s, generally ever, okay? And if you really like that neighborhood, really like this house, you can go up a little bit more, but you also got to keep in mind that $186,000, let's say you get it for $186,000. Okay, 185. Okay, when you're not going to get it for 186. Let's say you get it for $185,000, and the rehab on it is $60,000. Okay, so $180,000 plus 60 is $240,000. You are going to be in that property for $240,000. It rents for $2,400 a month. So you would still meet your 1% rule if you're renting it out. That means the property rents for 1% of which you are in it monthly. So in this case, this would be my last calculation, is I would add this plus this and then look at my rents and make sure that these numbers actually work and they actually make sense. Am I in it for about 1% a month with equity? Okay, there's my equity, because I get 25% of that equity. And if all these numbers still meet my 1% rule as well, that's the final calculation, and generally they do in this formula, at least here in Texas, then I would consider this worthy of bidding on. Now, talk about bidding, the last and final thing is you have to show up. This is not at all auctions, but all the auctions around here where I go to. You must show up with cashier's checks made out to yourself or your business, okay, in different denominations. Let me explain. So let's say this was the only house that you were going to bid on, okay, just for easy math here. All right, and your max was $190,000. You're not going to bring one check for $190,000, a cashier's check made out to yourself. You're not going to do that, okay? You're going to bring a check for $100,000, or you bring like two $20,000 checks, that'll bring you up to $140,000. You'll bring maybe a couple tens, a couple $5,000 checks, and then five $1,000 checks. So you can mix and match any denomination and pay them. So if it's sold for $189, you could say, okay, here's 100, here's some 20s, the 10s, the 5s, the what. You can make it work for any price that sells within, $1,000 denomination. Now, if it's like a 500, then you'll have to overpay by 500 and get your money back. Or you just get two $500 checks instead of five $1,000 checks. You see what I'm saying? So that is how you buy at auction. Now, when you get there, you don't even have to be registered, at least here at this auction. You can literally walk up on time, start bidding. If you win something there, at that point, you can register with them. This is, in a nutshell, how you buy foreclosed properties. You need to be a cash buyer, you need to do a title checks, and you need to do your due diligence, guys. Those are the big three things. Show up, be ready to buy, and good luck. If you guys have any questions, let me know down in the comments below. If you liked the video, be sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really does help out the channel. If you're not already subscribed, I make several videos on real estate investing for passive income per week. And until next time, I will see you on the next one.